Welcome to Leah's Book Picks. I'm Leah Eichler and I pick books I like and review them in under 5 minutes. Today I'm going to review Songs for the Brokenhearted by Ayelet Tsabari. You might be familiar with Ayelet's work. She previously wrote a beautiful memoir about 10 years ago called The Art of Leaving. In that memoir, she writes lovingly about running away from the people and places that she adored in the wake of her father's death. This novel, The Songs of the Brokenhearted, starts in a similar vein, where we meet the protagonist Zohara. Zohara runs away to live in New York City, but returns to Israel in the wake of her mother, Sa'ida's death. Through the process of cleaning up her mother's home, Zohara learns things about her mother that she missed as a child. Most notably, she learns that her mother was a singer of traditional Yemeni women's folk songs. Zohara learns about her mother while learning about this beautiful genre of music, which sometimes borders on the erotic, but is mainly mournful. The music offered her mother and other women a singular outlet to express themselves. As the reader, we learn a lot about Sa'ida, not only from her daughter, but from Yaakov, a would-be lover in 1950. Yaakov fell madly in love with Sa'ida while in a refugee absorption camp. The book captures the underlying love and losses for families like Zohara's, who came from Yemen and made their way to Israel between 1948 and 1950. These immigrants expected to live in a promised land, but instead found themselves in a squalid refugee camp. They were also confronted with liberal values that they deemed inconsistent with their faith, as well as a pervasive racism that was directed at them by the Ashkenazi Jews. Tsabari is precise when detailing the conditions of these camps, as well as the tragedy that befalls these Yemeni immigrants. After arriving in Israel, Sa'ida is forced to leave her only child in a building meant to house children. But one day, when Sa'ida goes to visit her son, she is informed that he was sick and sent to a hospital. The next day, she was told that he died, but no body or death certificate was ever proffered. This fictional story is part of an actual, true historical tragedy that became known as the Yemenite children affair. In the novel, the family, most notably Zohara's mother, believes her son was kidnapped and sent to live with a childish Ashkenazi family of Holocaust survivors, but she struggles to prove it. Meanwhile, in the wake of her mother's death, Zohara's beloved nephew, whom her mother doted on as if he were her long-lost son, becomes alienated and radicalized. Rabin had just recently signed the Oslo Accords and made peace with Jordan, and this nephew, Yoni, falls into a messianic crowd that believes that Rabin is making a tragic mistake. Some are even calling for his execution. Tsabari paints each character so carefully that the reader feels each and everyone's love and loss. A common theme for all the characters is that expectation and reality seldom meet. Here is where Yaakov, Zohara's mother's admirer, explains that conflict more directly. Fantasies are by definition untouchable and unbeatable. He thought of the way they had pictured Israel back in Yemen, what years of yearning could do to a person. We thought it was the coming of the Messiah, the farmers outside of the Makolet said bitterly. We thought angels of God would be walking the streets. Israel was a desired woman they never stopped pining over. No wonder the reality was such a slap in the face. Zohara pines for a mother she never really knew. Her mother pines for a son she believes is still alive, and for love never requited. The country turns out to be not exactly the one the family members bargained for. No one ever really gets what they want, but it turns out they can subsist on what becomes just enough. This is the third book I've reviewed in roughly the same time frame in Israel in the 1990s, late 1990s. That was a coincidence, but it turns out to be a happy one. I happened to live in Israel a little while after Rabin's assassination and believed, as many others did, that we were within touching distance of peace. I think about those days a lot and what could have been. This book, Songs for the Brokenhearted, is an elegy to a different path that could have existed in Israel, and maybe if we were lucky, one day still will. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for my next 5-minute book review. Take care.